Hello, everyone, and welcome to the DM show. Hello, Martin. How are
Uh,
you?
Good, Deirdre. How are you? Great to see you again. Feels like
Thank
it's been
you.
a long time, but it's only been a month.
No, it's only been a month, but that's so nice of you to say because it just means that we should be hanging out more.
Exactly. And so, welcome to everyone. Please tell us your name, where you're from in the comments. That would be great. And we're hoping to make this really interactive with Ginny, except for one big piece of news today. And shall I share it?
Yes, go ahead.
And that is that unfortunately, Ginny has come down with the flu. And so she's unable to speak. We were talking with her. Well, actually, we were talking. She was having a tough time. Now she's feeling much better. So we're planning to have Ginny on our show a month from now. So for all of you who are here and have joined us, we hope you'll stick around. What Deirdre and I thought we would do is just have a chat about some of the things that have been happening recently in the news and kind of how to cope with things. And we're not talking politically here. We're
Yes.
talking more about the tech and AI developments. So I think all of us wish Ginny, hope Ginny gets well soon. She seems like she's on the mend. Feel better,
She
Ginny.
is.
We're looking forward to talking with you, and we will be talking about the PESO model in 5 years, how it's going to evolve on our next show. But today, one thing, and let's welcome a few people. Tamara, welcome from Winnipeg, which is my hometown. Barbara, thank you for joining us. Nice to see you. Carol Stelbach, hi, Carol from Raleigh.
I
Uh,
see Ray. Ray's
yeah,
from Riveridge, New
Ray's
Jersey.
here.
Hi, Ray.
Julie Murphy, nice to see all of you. And please chime in because we want to get your take on this. I posted on LinkedIn yesterday, and what I noticed is as of Wednesday, which is the day before we were recording or we're doing our live show, there's been a ton of AI news this week. So to start things off, OpenAI announced their brand new image generator, which is getting a lot of steam. A couple days before that, Google announced its brand new image generator, which was also high quality, but you could remove watermarks, which meant that there was an issue potentially. Um, Other news, Microsoft announced that it is doing a deep research tool. OpenAI, another OpenAI announcement, they upgraded their model, and Google also upgraded its model to Gemini 2.5, which is supposedly the best reasoning model available. I haven't tried it yet. And so all of this, plus everything else that's taken together, really feels overwhelming. And so, if you're trying to work in marketing and communications, how do you deal with the hype and the news? And that's what we thought we'd talk about for the next 15 minutes or so. And hello, Anne, nice to see you. And thanks for that. And Justin, thanks for dropping by too. Good to see you also. And appreciate you being here. So, Deirdre, what do you think about that?
Well, first off, I feel like it is a lot to take in, just keeping up with the news in general, but then trying everything. Because as PR and marketing professionals, we want to find the best ways to help with how we're shaping our campaigns, our strategies, and the content that we send out. But for me, I think I'm sensing, and maybe the community can chime in, it's this the anxiety that AI is still creating. And when you see an obstacle, I'm just curious, and I'm going the Stoics way, is the obstacle something that you can embrace and see it as an opportunity? Or is it something that some people feel I'm not ready to get my roll up my sleeves and dive in? So, what do you think, Martin? Do you think that we're kind of getting used to all of this overwhelm and moving toward opportunity?
I hope so. I don't feel like we are yet because there's so many different skills gap. There's also something called FOBO. I mean, everyone's heard of FOMO, fear of missing out. FOBO is a condition
What's
called the fear of becoming obsolete. So it
yes.
means we don't know what we need to know or what we need to learn, or we don't know how to apply what we know to the tools to get the best out of them. And as a result, um, companies are struggling with this. And in fact, another survey I read from Writer, the AI,
Right.
writing and tools platform, found that there's like this gap across the organization between what the C-suite wants and thinks. So the C-suite thinks that, wow, we've got a great AI strategy, and yet employees think they don't. And so the
Right.
C-suite is providing tools, but employees don't feel they're getting the training that they have. And so there's this big gap that we're
The
starting to
training.
see.
That is such a key point because you can bring in the tools, but there's comfort with the training to be able to know how to use them, and then you find the time to use, to play, to experiment. Martin, maybe I can just ask you a question and the community can chime in if they have questions.
Yeah.
Are you now I know that you use AI for different ways, whether it's generative photos. You're probably using it to do some deeper research and gathering of information. But have you ever tried to take information and say to AI, and I've done this, put this information in a chart, and here
Yes.
are the labels, and it's doing it.
Yeah.
So, what's your experience? Do you think that that has been helpful, and is it accurate?
Yes and no. I think, the funny thing is, if we're using AI just for content generation, we're getting what's called AI slop. And all
Mhm.
of us know what AI slop is because it's really kind of like mediocre or maybe even better than mediocre human work with tons of jargon, all the things you're not supposed to put into your writing or content. And I think having a perspective on things, having some type of subject matter expertise helps. Because if you ask AI, even if you prompt it fairly well to produce a piece of content, unless you know the subject well, you don't necessarily know which parts of it are just boring and dull and repetitive. So that's, I think, an important thing for research. Though I think it is really good, but we have to figure out how you're using it for research,
Right.
because otherwise all we're going to be doing is be reading the Cliff's Notes or Cole's Notes for Canadians of summaries of these articles. We're never going to be thinking as deeply maybe as we should.
Exactly. Is anybody maybe chiming in? Let's hear some
Yes.
thoughts
Okay.
from
So,
the community.
Eric, hi, nice to see you. Barbara, it can be overwhelming. Yes.
Yes.
Michael Meath, hi, Michael, says
Hi,
he's
Michael.
definitely in the category. I think we all are. Mary Humphrey said, as communications experts who value journalism and creative ownership, how can we maintain our professional ethics while using AI systems that are built on stolen intellectual property? And that's all the time we have today. No, just kidding, because that is a great question and a complicated one. Deirdre, what do you think about that?
So, I mean, you don't have good ethics if you're using anything stolen intellectual property. I think AI is getting better, and Martin, you can chime in here. I notice that when I'm asking questions or trying to get information, I am getting more sources. I always take whatever I ask for, and then if I'm going to use anything, it goes into another sort of program that says, here's the sources for this, cite this information.
Mhm.
So, do you think AI is helping to make sure the citations are there and that professionals are ethical and not just taking work that is not theirs and putting it out?
Sometimes, and sometimes the citations are still wrong. So we have to pay attention to that, do that extra level of fact checking.
Corroboration.
Yeah,
That's what it is. If you think about back in the days, maybe it was 10 years ago or 15 years ago, 20 years ago, journalists would always make sure that their facts were corroborated, or PR people would be looking to make sure different sources had reports on whatever it is that they want to share. Do you think it's that type of level of checking?
yeah, I do. I think it is really deep fact checking. I also think, and neither of us are attorneys.
Right.
So this is a fair use question in terms of copyright, because media have always been able to take clips and use them in the context of a bigger story, and that was okay. So this is such a challenging question. I think maybe, Mary, and I really wish I had a better answer for you on this, is that you want to try to disclose how and when you're using AI. This is something that Christopher S. Penn recommends all the time.
Mhm.
Um, and that at least is a starting point to say, I'm using AI generated content. Fact checking is extremely important. So go back to the source and compare what you get from an AI output to the source material and see if things have been um, stolen or used in a way that you don't feel is right. Ultimately, we have to figure out what our own ethical boundaries are. You know,
Sure.
Michael Meath, I was going to ask you to comment. And so Michael did write a comment. And
Good.
Michael is an ethics expert, really, on all things ethical. So he wrote, I advise folks to be sure to cite and reference an AI work um, where it is being used. For now, that will keep us legal and safe. Still need to double check your facts, absolutely. In the future, if AI does get to the point of creating new thought, it will be more difficult. I think that's a great
Mm.
point, Michael. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. That really helps.
Someone else asked a question about AI agents, about whether
Okay.
an AI agent can outperform a human real estate agent in terms of service expertise and client satisfaction. I'd say the answer to that is one, it depends, because
Right.
who knows if that's the case anymore. Whoops, sorry about that. Um, but also, some real estate agents are pretty crummy, the way some PR people are pretty crummy, the way some people
Some
in any,
lawyers are crummy the way some doctors
yeah,
could be crummy.
yes, there are lots and lots of people who may not be as committed, say, or passionate about what they do. I think maybe the point about AI agents is to step back and, again, this is something that people have been saying about all types of AI. This is the worst AI we've ever had. So 6 months ago, we heard this is the worst AI. Now, as it improves, this is the worst AI we'll ever have. And so as AI keeps getting better, we'll start to see AI agents, so autonomous systems, interacting with us. And it's probably still too early to figure out how that's going to all play out. But I do know, I've been reading that companies like Salesforce, um,
Mhm.
they're researching how to develop interoperable AI systems so that my personal AI agent could interact with a brand AI agent. And say I want to go on a trip somewhere, it could go out, do all the research for me, negotiate things with these two agents, and then come back and
So almost
hopefully,
as your personal assistant.
yeah,
AI could be your personal assistant, then interacting with another system to
yeah,
get you your answers.
yeah. So who knows? Again, this is, it feels like we're in the middle of living in a real life science fiction movie. Every
A
day
little
I
bit,
wake up
yes.
and we don't have robots walking around, to my knowledge, yet. None of us are robots. Although Michael, I don't know if you can dig up the link to this. Michael Meath shared this great short video on that was published on New Yorker. It's 20 minutes long, and it's about a woman who fails the CAPTCHA test and learns that she may be a robot without her knowledge of being a robot. She thinks she's a human. It's
Oh, I want to see
fascinating.
that.
Sorry to give you that work, Michael, but yeah, if you
Like
could
if you
do
can
that.
find that, that would be interesting.
James, thank you for saying that. James Gilday joined us. He's a current student of mine. So nice to see you, James. Raymond says, I think AI is a great resource, but still like the human element of things.
I agree. I mean,
Yeah.
at this point anyway, where AI is the human, the relationship, I think humans are doing a better job.
Yeah, and just pay attention to AI slop, because so much of
Mhm.
what comes out of machines, and I'll talk about it from the visual perspective, because I use it to generate visuals mostly for my presentations, things like that. And I like doing it. It's kind of fun. I'm terrible at drawing or design. Are these AI visuals better? Well, I like them. Let's put it that way. But I don't necessarily think a graphic designer would look at them and go, "Oh, that's really good." And in fact,
Exactly.
I'll often see very similar visuals to ones that are in my presentation shared on LinkedIn or shared in someone else's presentation, and it's like AI images are the new stock photos. Oh yeah, I know where you got that from.
Exactly. That's right. I don't think a graphic designer would say, "Oh, this is so creative. I wish I had designed that." So for all the graphic designers out there, you still have that creativity element. AI's
Yeah.
got nothing on you.
No, that's right. And that's a big part of it. Oh, Michael just shared the link. I'm going to just
Oh, great.
highlight it here for any of you. Whoops, there we go. Oh, show, there we go. So check out that link, copy that link, because it is a fascinating and short video watch. And yes, the video is embedded in that story. So you read the story, it's quite short. Click on the link and you can watch it. We have time for one or two more questions, because we do want to have this as a short show so that you'll want to
Yes.
come back and hear
Ginny.
our conversation with Ginny. Anyone else have any comments or questions? Okay, Deanna. She's agreeing with the comment. She had AI do a simple task, found many errors, and had to prompt it 6 times to get a final that she was happy with. Human intervention is very much needed. It's
Mhm.
not perfect yet. Absolutely. Tawanda said, on text and copy, AI is simplifying work, but it's best to evoke AI with your original piece of writing. I agree. And I would encourage people, don't start with AI on, say, a first draft. Put down your own thoughts, even if you're dictating it, you're rambling, your stream of conscious. That is a good way to start. And then ask the AI questions, how to clarify it. Use it almost as if it's an editor or rewriting partner, rather than letting the creativity that letting it get credit for that first burst of creativity. Because you know what? What do you like to do? I like writing. I don't want to
Right,
give that up. I want
right.
help writing. I want to make it better, but I don't want to lose that to a machine.
You wanna own it, and it's also a part of you. If especially if you like writing, then get those thoughts down, do your brain dump, and use AI as a more support system.
Yeah. And why don't we give the final word to Barbara Nixon, who says, as a PR professor, it's been really challenging to balance teaching my students about the Gen AI tools PR professionals might use versus using them in a classroom setting. And that's a great point. I would say that would
Right.
probably apply to a work setting too.
Yes.
And yeah, figuring out how to differentiate between something that the students know, their subject matter expertise, and just AI slop that sounds pretty decent, but is like reading a boring article from, say, a mediocre writer. And we have enough of that.
Mhm. So, Martin, do you think schools are more embracing, colleges and universities embracing ways for either curriculum to be developed with the help of AI tools, or the way students are using AI to support their research? How do you think schools are feeling?
I think at the post-secondary level, and I can
Yes.
only speak for myself. So Barbara, Michael, who's teaching a brand new course, feel free to chime in. Anyone else, James,
Yes.
you're doing it from the student's perspective, or any other students. Karen, I noticed you were here, a former student. I think we're all still learning how to
Right.
do it, and we don't really know. And some things work, some things don't work. And the only way we can figure it out is if we try it and adapt to the tools, and be open-minded. But I think if you're outsourcing every single thing that you do to an AI system just to
Mhm.
check it off the list, okay, that pitch is done, check. This is done, check. That's done, check. Then we're doing something called, I read an interesting article on this, cognitive offloading, where
Oh,
we're offloading all of our important thinking tasks
that
to a
we don't wanna
machine.
do.
Yeah,
Right.
and so psychologists think that could be worse. So I think we have to
Okay.
try things. I still think start with a human.
Yeah, find that balance. That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah,
You're embracing, but finding the balance.
yeah. And Michael said post-secondary schools are more comfortable being uncomfortable. Yeah, exactly. And that's a great
Yes,
note
Michael.
to end on, because we're all
Yes.
neophytes still, all of us. Like, we're just
Yes.
trying to figure this out
And keep going. Keep
and
figuring.
being overwhelmed. So take
Yes.
a deep
Be
breath.
curious, be overwhelmed.
Yeah, and come back next month
Yes.
for a conversation with Ginny. Deirdre, always great talking to you.
Oh, great talking to you, and thank you everybody for coming to our live stream and for adding your insights and input. And we can't wait to see you next month when Jenny will
See you
be with
soon.
us.
Yeah, see you
Bye
soon.
bye.
Bye.